Why hello there everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we're doing another tier list on Pokemon films. And this is something I should be decently okay with. I've got a lot of very controversial opinions, like always, and some of the films I haven't seen. Especially when the later ones I haven't seen. I'm not too good when it comes to the later films. But hopefully we can get some good ones. So if you do enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe. And let's just get straight into it. We're not messing about today. We're getting straight into it. And we're starting off with the first Pokemon film, which is probably one of the most iconic ones. I'd probably say up there with Pokemon the movie 2000s. Obviously, Ash dies and then comes back to life. But it's still a very decent film. And it set the tone, to be fair to the film. It set the tone for later on in the films, and I don't think they improved much after this, because obviously Pokemon films are notoriously bad, which I think is a bit harsh. But the Pokemon the movie, I think it was just called, I can't even remember. I'm gonna put that into amazing. I thought it was a decent film. But the next film is one of the best. I think this film I still watch to this day. I'm turning 20 this year, and I still watch this film. I still watch these films. But this film, oh, it's brilliant. It is brilliant. I have got to say, Pokemon the movie 2000 is one of the best films ever made. Shoot me in the comment section, please. Brilliant film, brilliant plot, brilliant everything. It's just perfect. I think it's probably the best film they've ever made. I know, especially like after especially after Sinnoh, the films went downhill. But this is perfection. It's brilliant. And Pokemon the movie 3, it's the one with Entei. I don't know the actual name of it. It's the one where the mum gets kidnapped, and I think that's another really good film. That's another really good film. I think that's probably the film I've watched the most recent. So I'm tempted to put it into Amazing or Goat, because it's a brilliant film. It's a good film. I might just leave it in Goat. I'm gonna see if I might change my things up later on. I do think it's better than the first film. I don't think it's as good as Pokemon the movie 2000s, so we might have to move it about later on, but it can go into Goat for now. I think that's probably because obviously for it being kids films, they're decently dark. Ash dies in the first one, and in the second one, all the Pokemon move in, to basically stop the end of the world. And then obviously the fact that Ash's mom gets kidnapped, for Christ's sake. And then we're going to move on to Pokemon Forever. That's the Celebi film. I don't know if I said Celebi first. That's the Celebi film, and Celebi dies. And I'm gonna put this film because it's about a. Is this the film? Is this Johto? Is this it's Hoenn? I can't remember on the top of my head. I haven't seen this film for quite a while. But I do remember the film quite well, and I remember it being I remember the plot basically being that there is a Pokemon hunter, not a bounty hunter, like shooting foxes and stuff. And he's out to basically catch Pokemon. He's got dark balls, which basically turn Pokemon evil. It's a decent film, so I'm gonna put that one in decent. I think that's a fair enough placement. I think that's a fair enough placement for Pokemon movie Forever. It's definitely not better than the other three. I think out of the first four, it's the weakest one, but it's probably still not a bad film, not at all. I still quite enjoyed that film. I remember when it first came out. I remember because Celebi dies, and then all the Celebis come down and basically resurrect it. It's a decent enough film. I don't think it's the worst film that they've ever made, most certainly, especially when we get into the later films in this list. Moving on, we're going to be going on to the Latias and Latios film, and that's another good film. That's another good film. Obviously, that's probably the saddest film that they've made, and it's a corker of a film. But my problem is I don't want to put too many films in Goats, because I know there's some films coming up which I love. I absolutely love. So I'm going to have to be a little bit more strict. Like I said, I'm going to twinkle around a little bit. So I'm going to put this film into Amazing. Oh, but do I think Pokemon 3 is better than this film? I don't think I do. I'm going to have to put that there. I don't think I do. Only because that film's great. That film's great. The third film's great. But that Latios and Latias film just hit different as a child. I think it just did hit different. And it was quite upsetting as a child. I was thinking, I'm going to be going through all these films, so there's going to be spoilers ahead. But the fact that I think Latios dies, I think that's one of the only time we ever seen an actual death in the program, and in the film. I think that's just a statement. I think it's just sad. to put it nicely. I think it's just sad. So I think that is probably the right placement. And I come to films like I can't actually recognize. Okay, I'm starting to see it now. Moving on, we've got the Zoroark film, and as far as I can remember, because I haven't seen it for a long time, I think it's one of those films I've seen once. I'm gonna put it into shocking, because I don't think it's the Sea Temple film. I'm pretty sure this is Zoroark and the Wishmaker or something along those lines. I don't remember the film. I could even put it into not seeing it. I've only ever seen it once. But the fact that I've seen it and the fact that I don't remember it probably means it's in shocking. Because, like I said, I haven't seen the film, so I don't think I have any reason to put it up into decent. Well, I have seen the film. I can't remember the film. My Pokemon movie Forever, I remember it being decent. And Zoroark, the fact I can't remember it means it's probably quite shocking. And nothing else to say about that. Destiny Deoxys, probably a personal favorite as a child for me. To be honest with you, it's a really good film. If it's going into decent, it's going in front of Pokemon the movie Forever. And I could even sneak up into amazing. It could go there. That's the thing, because it's the plot of this film, and I've got this one on DVD down there. The plot of this film was basically this one's definitely Hoenn. They go to this brand new city which is technology based, and one of the residents there knows Deoxys, kind of. He doesn't know Deoxys. And basically, Deoxys and Rayquaza have this massive scrap, and the city's locked off, and I think it's actually quite decent. But knowing what's coming up, do I think it's better than the first one though? That's the question. Like the more we get into it, do I think it's better than the first film? I don't know. I don't know. I think the first one's iconic. That's the thing. So I'm gonna put it at the top of decent for now. But I do like the film. This is the Lucario film. Another time we see a Pokemon die. Hoenn just for some reason loved killing Pokemon off. Apart from the Latios and Latios might be Jero, but it doesn't matter. But like Hoenn Pokemon though, love getting killed off apparently. And I don't remember. Oh, that was stressful. My bad. I don't remember much of the film. I've seen it a few times, but I haven't seen it for a fair few years because these films, they're quite hard to find these days. They're not like the easiest things to find. I don't want to say they're lost in the archives because they're most certainly not. You can easily get onto a pirated website online. But I don't know where to put this film because I remember it being a good film and everyone loved. I'm pretty sure a lot of people love this film. But for me, I'm gonna put it. I might have to put it there. Only and this is probably one of those controversial opinions. Only because it's not what I've seen. I know the plot, kind of. It's not. I know Lucario dies at the end of it. And I know the plot, kind of. And I remember it's about him finding his aura and shit like that. But I think you just gotta say that only because I haven't seen it for a while and it doesn't really stand out too much for me. And I think that's a fair enough placement personally if it doesn't stand out too much to me. But yeah. Anyways, moving on. I believe this might be the Temple of Sea one. I might be wrong. Like I said, these pictures are very, very pixelated, so I'm gonna have to zoom in on this one myself. Moving on to this one. It's a good film. I remember this film. Ash nearly dies again. Ash has a tendency to nearly die in these films. Where do I want to put this film? The last of the Hoenn films as well. Where do I want to put this? The question is, do I want to put it somewhere great? Like, it's a decent film, is it? I might have to go put it there because it's way better than the Zoroark film. Way better than Zoroark film. Zoroark film was shocking. But I don't know if it's better than the movie Forever though. I think that's the right place. Now this is where it comes into my personal favorite films, apart from movie 2000. Go it. Rise of Darkrai straight up into GOAT. Brilliant film. Perfection. Alongside Pokemon the movie 2000, perfect film. The plot with them going to, I think it's Undella Town, I think it was, and basically, Dialga and Palkia got there eventually are basically scrapping in the universe. I think it's in between their different realms, in the unknown realm, and all of the fights that they have impact onto the normal world. And them in Undella Town, I think it's Undella Town, I could be wrong. Palkia flees and basically hides there and then circles the town off, putting it into this like in-between sort of world thing. And basically after that, then this town gets shorter and shorter, and they've got to stop the fighting, otherwise everyone's gonna die. And it's just brilliant. It is a brilliant film. I love that film, and I've seen that film so many times. I've seen this film so many times, it's got to the point where my mum knows the film. My mum doesn't even watch, like, my mum's not interested in Pokemon at all, but even she knows this film and likes this film. It's such a good film. I don't want to just go on about this film, but it's just perfect. It's just perfect. Giratina and the Sky Warrior, another really good film. I'm going to put that in one in there for a top of amazing. I don't think it's as good as Darkrai, but it's still a very good film. It's still a very good film. And I'm quite tempted to put it at the bottom of amazing. Because it's a brilliant film. It's not quite as good as Darkrai. It's not quite as good as the Darkrai film, but it's definitely like the next part to the Darkrai film, because in the next film it kind of all adds up. I think it's the first time they've ever really done that in Pokemon, and probably the only time they've ever really done that in Pokemon. Like, it just kind of all adds up, and yeah, it's just brilliant because, like, and basically there's big bad guys. There always are in these films, and obviously he's got the Distortion World Giratina, and he wants to use the Distortion World for his own powers. And Ash and his friends, Jesse, James are in the film, Dawn, Brock, all get trapped in the Distortion World and make their way out through Shaman. And basically it's about them fighting, basically fighting this bad guy just to not kill. I think it's to kill Giratina. I can't remember. I haven't seen the film for a few years, but it's still GOAT. Don't take into consideration that I haven't seen the film in the 2 years. It's still a GOAT film. And the Jewel of Pokemon Arceus, the Jewel of Life, that has to go into a top of amazing. Only because, like, basically the two films just add up into this one big story, which they've never done before, which I think was brilliant. This film's not as strong as the other two, unfortunately. So basically, it's about Arceus obviously being the god Pokemon, and basically he's woken back up. Basically, they've woken God, and the events of Darkrai and the events of Giratina have basically woken Arceus up, and he's a bit pissed off because he's been betrayed in his eyes, but then by the person that he trusted this almighty jewel with. And it turns out the guy didn't betray him, he got betrayed by someone else, which basically makes Arceus think he's been betrayed by the original guy, and it's all a bit of a shit show. In a good way, And it's a really good film. Dialga and Palkia kind of come back to help him. Same with Giratina, and they kind of add it all up, and I think it's a pretty good film. That's another one of the films that I've seen quite recently. Moving on to Zora and the Master of Illusions, I believe it's called. And this is quite a good film. I'm tempted to put this at the bottom of amazing, top of decent. Or I might leave it there. I might leave it there behind Destiny Diopsis, because these two, Destiny Diopsis and the Zora film, are two very good films in my opinion. I don't think they're quite as good as the original movie. The original movie was a very good film. And basically the plot of this one is Zora is obviously, they introduced Zora into the franchise. This was still during Sinnoh, and this was them introducing the Unova Pokemon into it. And basically Zora is obviously a bit like Ditto. He can change his forms into a Pokemon, and Zora escapes, and basically the town's being taken over by this multi-million billionaire who's trying to find a cure for life, and basically wants to be immortal. And Celebi's in the film, and it's Celebi's time travel ability, which makes him, which gives him the ability to live on forever and ever and ever. And it's quite a decent film. They stop him in the end, and I don't think it's anything too special though. It's definitely better than these films down here. I might have to move that one down there, only because I've seen Forever more recently, and it's kind of stuck out more to me. Pokemon Black and White films, I think it's the teeny films. I don't think they're terrible films. Like they're both the same film, just with different Pokemon. There was more than an advertising campaign for Black and White. I remember watching both of the films. I watched the restaurant film once. I've still got my stress ball if you realize. I'll put that over there. I remember watching the restaurant film, and then it was like, well, they've released another one, so I watched the Zora, the Zekrom film, and it was the exact same thing, except it was Zekrom, which I was a little bit disappointed at, but I understand the marketing campaign behind it. And I think it's quite decent. I feel bad putting them in decent, but that's the problem. They're shocking because they weren't bad films. They weren't bad films, not at all. And yeah, I think that bottom are decent. I know a lot of people are gonna probably disagree with that because they weren't the best realistically. I can't remember too much of the film. I remember Ash goes up and basically like Age of Ultron in Avengers, the city's about to get dropped and they save. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. Not too much to save, or maybe just a tower. But moving on from that one. And then we get to the Kieran film, or the Sword of Justice film. And that one's not really about... I actually don't remember. It's more about Kieran and the members of the Sword of Justice are basically trying to fight Kieran. I don't believe it being a particularly great film. So I'm going to put it in the top of shocking only because we need more in there. And I don't remember the film being too great, to be honest with you. I don't remember too much of the film. Moving on to Genesect, the Genesect film. I like this film. This, back when I had my old computer, I had this film saved on my computer because I really liked the film. And a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that one. And I think that's a little bit harsh. But this film was quite good, I do think. I don't think it's amazing. I'm going to put it into decent. And I'm going to put it... Oh, this is going to cause some major controversy here. I might put it above the Lucario film. Only because I like the film. I just do like the film. Mewtwo, it's the first time you see... I believe it's the first time you see Mega Evolution, to be honest with you. I could be wrong in saying that, because obviously you have Mega Mewtwo. You know, Genesect. I haven't seen the film in a while, but I remember really liking this. And this is Diancie, I think this is. The Diancie, or the Yveltal and the Cocoon of Destruction, or something along those lines. And the film's not bad. The film's not bad. It's decent. I do think it's better than these films. And I know Pikachu dies. It's probably one of the darker films because Pikachu dies, and basically Yveltal is just the Pokemon of death, and basically he's just firing his death upon everyone and everything, and they have to stop him. Well, they failed to not wake him up, and then they have to stop him once they've broken him up. It's okay. Much like most Pokemon films, it lacked a little bit of an ending. Or like in a sense of like, obviously you have the build up and you have the big action. It acted a little bit of the big action. Yeah, not too fussed about that film personally. It's a decent film. Hooper and the age of the Hooper film. I quite like this film. I quite like this film. I think this is a decent film, and this could be just me being like, because they got a shit ton of legendaries in. They got a shit ton of legendaries in. They got so many legendary Pokemon in for that film. I just quite enjoyed it. And it kind of reminded me of the Rise Darkrai, because the city gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And obviously a bit like the Darkrai film, where the town gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Kind of a little bit of... kind of a mixture of the Arceus and the Darkrai film, because they got all the Pokemon like that Arceus had. Like, I mean, you literally have so many Pokemon. Hooper's being tracked down by itself, I'm pretty sure. It's like dark version of itself. I think it's hated on too much. I do think it's hated on too much. The Volcanion film is shocking. I've seen it once, didn't like it at all. I'm gonna put it below Jirachi. These two I can't remember equally. I don't even know what this film is. I think this is the newer film. I haven't seen it, so I'm not gonna really comment on that film. These films, like these ones at the bottom, I've only seen once or twice. Can't remember too much of these films, but do you know what? We don't really care about the films that are shocking. And in Pokemon I Choose You, I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's okay. I'm gonna put it into not seen, but I'm gonna put it at the top of not seen because I understand. I'm pretty sure it's the start of his journey. I've started watching it. I'm pretty sure it's just the start of his journey. So the fact I've started watching it, I'm gonna put it in decent. Only because, like, you know, they've really got a model story. They can't cock up the story. It's basically just the story revamped into a new animation. It's not terrible. It's not great. You can just go back. It's a bit of a cop-out. I believe it's a Netflix thing as well. But that is the final tier list. I think it's a decent little tier list. I will put a proper... I understand, obviously, you can't really see the full tier list. But I will put a proper picture on the screen right now. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and have a nice day. Goodbye.